Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're here with another walkthrough for this week's race for the NASCAR Legends, the 87s at Chicagoland Speedway. Chicagoland was built in '99, so as the theme has rolled on so far, these cars were never raced here. It's a 1.5 mile speedway with 18 degrees of banking in the corners. Kind of more shaped like an egg than I would say a normal 1.5 mile, like say Charlotte or something like that. Kevin Harvick won the first NASCAR race held here in 2001. What I'm going to start with here is you're going to see a recurring theme. The big thing is you're going to be walking your brake bias around as runs go on, as you get ready to enter the pits. All of this is going to play a factor. And there's a key thing with this car that you need to make sure that you're aware of. If you adjust that brake bias below 50%, which I'm going to assume you will if you get a long run, because this is one of those tracks, if it stays clean, it will go full length green. Same thing as like with Auto Club. So keep that in mind. That being said, once you get below 50, if you have a crash that happens in front of you and you have to slam on the brakes, this car is going to spin. So if you're not comfortable with that and don't know how to catch that, I would say try to stay 50 or above if you can help it, but that doesn't give you a big window to make your adjustments with. I eventually got down to about 49 in all of my testing. That's not saying that you wouldn't go further. It's all going to be what you're comfortable with, what you like in a race car. That being said, we'll go ahead and get into what I found with all of my testing. I didn't play with offsets this week just because of the way that the car is kind of set. I didn't really feel the need to really get into offsets. But straight out the box, we went 12-1 like we always do. My fastest lap time with the 12-1, I probably could have got it down a little bit, but we were at 33.219. The setup felt really tight, and that's why I said we're going to be adjusting those brake biases and stuff like that to get it to handle better, especially coming out of 4. It really wants to walk up the track towards that wall, so keep that in mind. If you're catching yourself getting towards the wall in a hurry, you're going to bring that brake bias down. At this point, with everything that I've tested, I've already determined if you adjust down 2 clicks right off the bat, you're going to be a lot happier. So I think it's like 54% is the brake bias. So you might bring it down 1 or 2 clicks just to loosen it up right away. It's not going to hurt you right off the bat. You're going to be fine. But hopefully you can scrub that left rear off a little bit, get the car to rotate a little bit better. After that run, like I said, it was about 20 laps. I was at 90% on that right front tire. Not horrible, hot, but it was definitely burning it up. And that's going to be, the case in point going forward and why we're looking at this, right? So the next one that I tested, I did a 14-1, and when I did the 14-1, my best lap was a 33.283. It was about 3 laps in, and then it progressively dips off. Again, you're going to be moving the brake bias even with this setup. It didn't feel as tight, and I attribute that just to the fact that the steering ratio is less, so you don't feel like you're fighting that wheel as much. You could tell it was starting to kind of turn in on its own a little bit, and that's part of the reason that I decided not to mess with the offsets. So, but after a 20 lap run, this had 91% on the right front, so we're saving a little bit more tire. The big one that we're going to come to here is I decided to try 16-1, and I generally don't like it, but for some reason I really like it here. It feels very smooth. It does obviously get tight as the run goes on, so again, you're going to be adjusting that brake bias. I ran a 32.7, 17 laps into the run. That was my fastest lap. So it may not start out the fastest, but it's definitely more consistent, in my opinion. Was able to keep the right front at 96% after a 20 lap run. So to me, at least the way that I feel, the 16-1 may be the best bet. If you like a quicker turning car, obviously you're going to want to stay 14 to 1 or 12 to 1. I don't think track temp and things like that are going to come in because it is a night race. So I don't think you got to worry too much about really smoking that right front on temp. I think it's just mainly going to be the cheese grater effect that is Chicagoland on that right front. You're going to want to find spots to start checking up early. You can drive it into the corner for a while, but after a while, it's going to start to fade. You're not going to be able to dive it in hard and get out fast. So find spots where you're going to make your checkups, make your smooth entries in. I was running a very high to low entry. So starting high, moving it down to the bottom side, kind of coming out low. And on the back stretch, obviously run it to the wall. On the front stretch, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either run it just down to the yellow line, which is what I'm more comfortable with and what seems like it's faster to me. You will see guys that will go down below that yellow because it has a very wide apron. I'm not a big fan of it. To me, it feels like it unsettles the car, number one. Number two, if you wind up with a guy to your outside and you drift up and he's there, you're just going to clobber him. So I would advise against it. Again, it's what you decide you want to do. Overall, I think this race is going to be a lot of fun. I highly encourage anybody that hasn't driven the cars to definitely try them out here with the way that the setup is, and just it's a night race, so you're not going to spin out like crazy. It's not going to be like, you know, Auto Club or say Dega when it's super hot, super greasy. So, like I said, I encourage everybody to give this a shot. To me, it's really fun. I really enjoyed it, especially with as many laps as I've put down so far, getting this information for you guys. With that said, if anybody has any comments, questions, hit me up on Discord, shoot me a question in the comments. I'll be glad to answer them. But other than that, we will catch you guys at the races.